Okay.
My name is Linda Williams-Smith. I live in Haddonfield, New Jersey. I was born in 1958 in Philadelphia. And I've lived in Haddonfield since 1958, except for 8 years in Arizona. And I'm married, and I have 3 children, 2 grandchildren, a lot of steps, and that's me.
And I'm Linda's sister. My name's Louise Williams Senopolous, and I was born in 1963 in Philadelphia also, same hospital, I'm sure. Have lived in Haddonfield currently for the last 15, 20 years. 3 daughters, and one of them has a middle name White, which I told you earlier. And that's it.
All right, and how are you connected with Whitesbog's side of the White family?
Well, we're trying to determine that. My great grandfather's brother, Alan Kirby White, his wife wrote a genealogy of our entire family. Mm-hmm. Her name was Marilyn Chambers White. And there are very many genealogies that go back to the 1600s in here. Our great-grandfather was Charles Doughty White, who was the son of Josiah White. So we are connected with the Atlantic City side of the White family. They're mostly known for the Marlboro Belham Hotel in Atlantic City, which was at the corner of Boardwalk and Park Place, if you're familiar with the Monopoly game.
Mm-hmm. And he was also involved in politics in Atlantic
yes.
City. He was the mayor briefly of Atlantic
Charles
City.
Doughty, our great-grandfather, was the mayor of Atlantic City. Actually, back during Boardwalk Empire days, but apparently he was one of the good guys. Mm-hmm. They do mention him.
Yeah.
Anyway, we could talk a lot about the Atlantic City Whites. We have a very extended family there. That was the 3 brothers, Josiah's sons, CD and AK, mm-hmm. and then John Joseph. His name was JJ. Mm-hmm. They ran the hotel business down at the shore. And I have my since I'm a little older, I remember my great-grandfather, the one who was the mayor of Atlantic City in the 30s. They had this gorgeous old house over on, is the name of that street? Started with a D. Anyway, it had this staircase that went up, almost like in the Addams Family, and it went both ways, and then there was a huge head of an elk.
You remember that?
Yes.
Really?
Well, he smoked cigars. He was in a wheelchair, and he would give me the rings off of his cigars mm-hmm. to wear on my finger. I was only 5 or 6. But the story goes, I don't remember the story, someone asked him if he had shot this animal, and apparently they bought it with the house. Oh. So he shot it. He took out his pistol and shot it with it on the wall.
Yeah, so he could say he shot it.
Yeah.
But that house had a squash court and tennis courts, and it was big, a big estate.
We could tell you more about the Marlboro Belham. Are you familiar with the Marlboro Belham?
I'm not really.
It was a beautiful
picture of it.
Hotel.
I have a postcard in here of it. Where did I just put that?
Beautiful hotel in Atlantic City. Mm-hmm.
You've probably seen it. It's
one side was the Marlboro, and one side was the Blenheim, and they were connected by a bridge. The Marlboro was built first, the red building. And back in its day, it was quite a place to be.
Here, yeah.
In Atlantic City, and even when we were growing up, going down there back in the 60s, there were still people who lived there. We had many people from our family who had apartments in there, and I guess there were people who lived there all year round. I have a lot of furniture from there. People
would come and stay for the whole season. So they would, and they say that they believe the thing that really kind of started the ruination of Atlantic City, or started to go downhill in the 60s, was because they had the National Democratic Convention, and so it broke up those summers. So people went and found another place to go. because they couldn't be there
Come
for
there
the
for
whole
the
summer,
summer.
because the convention was in August. So
Right.
anyway,
And then casino gambling passed in 1977, I believe, and I came back for a little while.
yeah.
And then I think the money just wasn't supposed to be where it was supposed to go. So the Marlboro Belham was torn down the first in 1979. We were in Africa at the time with my family. And I guess the building next door, the Traymore, went down first. We watched that happen on Eyewitness News. I think there really aren't any more of them standing. But the hotel business down there was big. They were like a big family. All of the hotel owners got together. The Lippincotts was that convention hall?
Haddon Hall.
Haddon Hall.
Yeah.
Do you have any insight into like what the interior was like? Like what amenities there might have been?
At the hotel?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, we remember. Well, I mean, it was there until I was 15.
Okay.
We learned how to swim there.
In the swimming pool, the lifeguard's name was Tom.
Yep.
First crush.
They had the baths were running salt water inside. Yeah. So you could take a saltwater bath. Which is
It was
considered
beautiful.
very
They had the. I mean, if you go back to the day, I'm sure they had linen tablecloths. All the waiters, wore white gloves. I'm talking about when I was very little.
It was very formal.
Very formal. They had a quartet that played at night before dinner on the weekends. There used to be chairs that lined the walkway from that crossed the bridge.
Pedestrian bridge, yeah.
Of course, we would try to walk on the chairs all the way across the bridge. You can actually still see the interior of it in the movie, The King of Marvin Gardens. It's a depressing movie because it was a depressing time. It was right before it was torn down. So that was in the 70s. But you can really see the interior of it. It had two beautiful wings. My parents had their wedding reception there out over the boardwalk.
We used to, my grandfather worked there as the manager. He was owner, manager until he retired in his mid 70s. And so their lives revolved around him working at the hotel.
And my grandmother worked there.
She
was
there
like
too,
Julie on the
early
Love Boat.
Yeah. But the only time they ever got off was like
Winter.
February when nobody was down. And every year for Christmas, we would get a weekend at the hotel where we could go down and stay at the hotel for a weekend.
Also, an interesting story would have been my great-grandfather, or great-great-grandfather, was read out of Atlantic City Friends meeting. Great-grandfather, because they put a bar into the hotel.
Yeah.
So the Quaker meeting.
And that happened with a couple of the hotels. So a lot of the hotels were owned by Quaker families.
It was a big South Jersey Quaker family, and they wanted to put the bar in, and
yeah.
so
he
they
got
kicked
kicked
him
out of
out.
Atlantic City.